So in today's tool review video, we're going to be looking at the Dewalt DWST11556, which is a long and roundabout way of saying what you and I refer to as the Dewalt Express Folding Workbench. So we're going to show you everything about this workbench, the specs, how to open it, how to close it. We are also going to show this Dewalt Folding Workbench in action, doing some basic tasks, and all of that starts right now. Okay, so if you've never seen Dewalt's workbench before, they came out with this about 2 years ago. It was introduced in 2017, and it normally sells in the Home Depot stores for about $99. But if you wait a couple of times during the year, they usually lower it to $69. So for example, they lowered it over the summer at 4th of July sale to $69. And then we just got this just before Black Friday for $69 again. It was lowered, but most of the time it sits there at $99. And each store might get about 8 or so of these in stock, and they'll sit there and not move when they're at $99. But the second they drop to $69, boom. And I also wanted to warn you, I'll show you, if you look right here on the screen, you'll see a video we did when we did a walkthrough in Home Depot back in July, where we pointed out sort of like a pricing scam, I think, but they basically brought a bunch of these out, set them on the floor at Home Depot there, and put a big $99 sign on it, making it look like it was on sale, even though it really wasn't on sale. That's the normal price that it is at Home Depot. So I wanted to make sure you don't fall for that when you see it. Try not to buy it at $99 unless you absolutely have to get it. Wait for it to come down to $69, which happens a couple of times a year. Okay, it says on the cardboard there that this will open up in about 3 seconds, but I suspect that it does it a lot quicker than that. So I'll just show you the whole operation of it real quick. So the way to open it is you face it so that the top of the table, the working surface is towards you, and that the bowels of it is facing away from you. And I'll show you, we'll show you close up later in the video, but there's a little yellow button right here. You just push it in, and it's that quick, just like that. So they say 3 seconds on the box, but that looks a lot closer to 1 second to me. Okay, so just to show you how the mechanism looks from underneath when you're operating it, when you push on the yellow push button, which is right on here, right? You push on that, and then you slide in the bar to disengage it, and you'll see it move what looks like kind of like a rack and pinion type system. But you can see how it folds everything right down there. And then, as you can see, pulling it that way locks it into place. Okay, here we can see it weighs in at just over 22 pounds. Here's a little continuity error we found on Dewalt's part, because really in order to operate this table, you have to stand on this side of it, hold the handle here, you know, make sure the table's down on a flat surface, and then push the push button, right? So why is the push button facing that way? Why isn't it spun the other way around? So I think there was an issue with their design here that they kind of screwed it up. It doesn't affect the operation of it. It's just that you tend to want to be over here this way looking at it, but if you're over here doing it, you know, you're going to get hit by the table if you try to open it. So for example, if I'm facing it this way here so that the word push is facing me properly, you know, that might at first cause some people to think this is where I'm supposed to be standing, but it's not, because if you push the button here and then try to open the table, you can see it's a hindrance here. It just bumps into you. So all they have to really do is rotate that button around 180 degrees and it will be correct. Okay, well here you can see we use this Dewalt folding workstation here for all sorts of tool review videos and projects, because it stands at the perfect height, right, basically to demonstrate tools of different types and to open them up and set them up and get them working. So let's measure the height here. Yep, the height's about 30.5 inches here. And the width of the table here is going to be about 23 3/4 inches. And the length of the table here is 39.5 or so. And then if you go just to that's with the handle extended, but if you go just to the end of the table, it's about 33.5 inches. Okay, now these are the plastic tables that I'm sure many of us have used in the past. So what I'm going to do now is time myself. I want to see how long it takes me to put this table together to set it up. So the Dewalt folding workstation here takes about 1 second here. So let's see how long it takes me to do this one. And you ready? Start. And we're starting. So I open up the table here, open him up there, open him up here, lift him up, lift him around, and it looks like about 13 seconds. Now keep in mind, in order to get him up to the level of the other table, it would probably have taken me another 15 seconds or so to putz with these stupid things here on the legs to extend them up like a telescopic leg. Okay, so now let's focus our attention here on the business end of the table here, the Dewalt folding workstation. So this will handle a variety of different clamps here. So I have this clamp here that'll fit right down underneath here, and it can come from underneath the table and clamp your piece of wood. Now what I like about these here, these holes here, these long cutouts here, will fit anything, even bigger clamps than these. So some of the reviews I read about the Works Pegasus table here is they were complaining that the clamps, the holes for their clamps wouldn't hold some of the clamps that they own. So I don't know if they used a proprietary size and system or what, but that's what I read on some of the reviews there. But anyway, you would go like this here, then you reach around underneath and you tighten a piece of wood here, and then let's say you were going to use another one over here, try the Irwin, and tighten him in place as well. Okay, so now that your wood is clamped down, if you wanted to like cut across here, you know, this thing's nice and tight, it's just not moving. And then what I like about all these extra holes here is you have a place to put your spare clamps too. And did you also notice these holes on the front there as well? So if you had a lot of clamps, you could probably store them right in there, just have them hanging like this or maybe like that till they're out of the way in case you needed the whole top of the surface for something here. Then when you're done with the work, you can pull whatever clamps out you need. And they have holes, not on this side because that's where the handle is. There's a couple of holes on this side and a couple of holes around this other side here as well. And so in case you had a few screwdrivers or something lying around and you just want to give them a temporary resting spot here, this one doesn't quite fit in. That's a really thick multi-screwdriver there. And there's a smaller one here. He does fit in and just sits just fine. But so does this one. He'll wobble a bit. Okay, then don't forget over here on the side here where they have this mortise cut out of the top of the table here. You can put screws and a couple of screwdrivers as well. And then let's not forget, you can also store your taller one on here too. It'll go right down in that opening there. Okay, so you can see here the Dewalt folding workstation holds my weight perfectly, no problem at all. Teeny bit of wiggling, nothing big. If I scoot over to this side here, now my weight is distributed right over this leg here. And then if I move over to here, you will see that my weight is distributed over this leg over here. Now here you can see engraved on the top of the table here, Dewalt tells you that this workstation here can handle 1,000 pounds. But then over here, this diagram here shows you that the way that they really want to see it distributed is all the way across. They don't want to see it concentrated, what we call a concentrated load, a concentrated downward force. So you see how like this here, they're telling you here with the X, don't do it this way, where the weight is small compared to the whole width of the table here. So, and then of course they're also warning you not to sit on it, like you just saw me do a minute ago. There, you know, so they got this guy standing, so no standing and no sitting on the table either. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to point out here for you is, see with these clamps here? Now my particular clamp, so see I can't make the bottom part of my clamp come off of the rod. Some clamps do, where you could take the bottom part off, and if that was the case, what you would then be able to do is stick your clamp down any one of these holes and then come underneath it from the bottom side with this thing and clamp down on your wood. So as long as you have a type of clamp that does that, this one won't. You have to be able to pull the whole bottom off of it, okay? But just remember, if you can get that other type of clamp, you would then be able to clamp the wood through any one of these holes here. So I just need to get a different clamp where it separates off of the rod. I don't know why they make them like this. I mean, come on, really? You don't trust me to be an adult and be able to keep it on there myself? Okay, so it looks like that the Dewalt folding workstation here survived with pretty much no issues. I don't see any noticeable damage to it from this fall. In fact, the only thing I see here that gives any indication that there was a fall is this little collection of grass and dirt here that you see on here. Alright, so let's give it a shot here and see if it'll open up okay. Okay, let's open her up. Looks like she passed the test. You think we should go higher? You want to see me drop this thing off my roof onto the paver brick patio here? Let's try it. See how she does. Looks like she survived pretty good. Now you can see another good use for this Dewalt folding workstation here is to put your miter saw on here. So if you don't have one of those dedicated miter saw stands, they're huge and they're heavy and they're long. They take up a lot of space in your vehicle. If you just want to use something like this, this will work just fine. Okay, so now you can see here I'm using the Dewalt folding table here in a standard configuration with a miter saw and got my vacuum there. You can have the vacuum on the floor too. Doesn't matter. But I already have upgraded my miter saw here to the much bigger 12-inch flex volt version from Dewalt, and it's a much bigger miter saw. So what I might do with that one, since I won't hardly have any table space left on here, I might switch and use my other table, the Keter Pro Series folding table. I might use that one also because it has the added benefit of having that second shelf underneath there where I can store all sorts of the wood blocks and cuts and things like that. Hey, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up down below. That tells us that you like us. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel right now, man, you're missing out on a lot of great tool review content and home remodeling tips and engineering disasters solved. So go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. And when you do that, don't forget, you gotta click that gray bell icon next to it. That way you'll receive alerts every time we upload a video. Otherwise, YouTube will not tell you. We'll be uploading videos all month long and you'll never be notified of it. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in this week, folks. You guys have a great week and we'll see you on the next one.